Good morning. We just give them a couple of minutes. They're just doing main things.
Is this class here?
It is the spine one, yes, that's right. You do, just because it's equipment based. So there's a little form. I don't even know if there's spaces. There's a little form just at the reception bit where you checked in, and you just pop your name down. So if you say to the girls, "Is there space?" There certainly looks like there's space at the minute, but we'll see who shows. But yeah, that's it.
My back went when I was surfing on Wednesday.
You went surfing.
I know, my first ever lesson surfing. I've got back disc issues anyway,
Okay.
and so it went into spasm and everything. But it's got a bit better, but because we've been in the car coming down, it's stiffened up again.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll do this.
Just not moving. Hopefully help. Okay. So I'm kind of gauging. I suppose it depends who's in the class. What do you teach fitness stuff?
I do teach.
Right,
yeah.
perfect. Right, okay. I'm assuming everybody's a teacher.
Not
Yeah?
everyone
No.
usually is, but
It kind of mix.
a lot of people are.
More, yeah, okay. So I'm kind of gauging it for you guys. If there's people that are not teachers, it'll still be interesting, but they're maybe getting a bit behind the curtains, like seeing. But I think, yeah, that's the idea. So have you used anything like this before? Never, right? Okay, where have you been? He's been hiding under a rock. So it's called a spine corrector. Spine corrector, like correction, fixing, and it's part of the Pilates equipment. So I myself, I'll just start. I'm a top Pilates for goodness 23 years now. I am a MSK podiatrist, meaning that I deal with more lower limbs, my absolute speciality, and I've done that for many years. MSK just means musculoskeletal conditions. So I'm a podiatrist that mainly deals with people that have got problems. That's okay. And then, what's that? The boss was, oh golly, you better run, she's shouting. And I'm also a PhD student focusing in on rheumatology and biomechanics. So my specialty is injuries, arthritis type things, all your systemic type illnesses, that's where it sits. But obviously, working the full body. Now, I'm a Pilates teacher, but I'm a fully comprehensive teacher. So that just means that I use all of Joseph Pilates equipment. Does anybody teach Pilates in here? Yeah, few of you, perfect. Is it mainly mat based you do? Right, okay, so you've done like level 3 mat type thing. I should say I've got these ear pods in purely because they're picking up the voice, the mic. So yeah, it's joyous. Right, okay, so mat-based stuff. Now this is probably something you could bring in without actually having to get something as bulky as this. I've brought this from my studio in Glasgow where we've got all your reformers, we've got all your big barrel things. Kind of looks like something out of 50 Shades of Grey, let's face it. It's a pretty weird looking machine. Have you all seen reformers and stuff? Yeah? Think, what's that? You've never used one. So if you do you teach mat Pilates? You do. If you teach mat, try and find a local studio, a kind of friendly teacher, they do exist, that will let you come in and just kind of start to kind of play. Because with your mat work, it really will help you, okay? But this here is just basically one of the, I suppose, props. So you'll probably use things like balls and bands and circles in your mat-based classes. So with this, that's called a spine corrector, these things come out, okay? So you can actually change. So if you look at, what's your name? Claire. So if you look at Claire's got a bigger arch. Hers is bigger than yours. Okay, so you can change the arch profile. So it's better that you've got a smaller one today, considering that your back's really sore. So what I wanted to do, I wasn't sure what type of client was coming in. I was thinking it was all instructors, but I wasn't 100%. So in terms of what I want to think about today, this focus is on the spine. So I want to just recap on what the spine does, what movement it facilitates, okay? And then think about some of the spinal conditions that you might see yourself. Like you already said to me this morning, you get problems with your back. And then think about what you can then do with your particular clients based on that. You're coming out, that's okay. So if we think about our spine, okay, facet joints, we have flexion. So we see most of our clients in this sort of position, don't we? This is where that posture where they all go. We have extension, we have lateral flexion, and you have rotation. Okay, so those are your planes of motion of your spine. So when you're designing a mat-based class, whether you're, come on, yeah, grand, whether you're thinking about it or not, you're probably including all those types of movements. So when you're doing your roll-ups, when you're doing your, you know, your swans, when you're doing your mermaids, all of these, and your rotation, your corkscrews and things, you're doing these anyway. But you're probably get clients coming in, right? Well, let's make this interactive rather than me just busting my mouth for ages. What kind of things do your clients say to you? So what did you say to me first thing this morning? Pulled my back. What does that even mean? Yeah. And you felt, you were away surfing, I believe, first time, well done. And just as you were going, now let's stop it. She's not been surfing before, right? So she's done a new sport. Like this is the type of stuff your clients do, right? I just was out dancing. I just was out, whatever it was they were doing, but they were doing something different to what their body's used to doing. And that's a big thing that I listen out for that. Is it something different that they're not used to doing? So you hadn't done surfing before? Nope. And she pulled her back. Okay, now think about that uneven terrain. You couldn't get any more uneven than big waves coming and wiping you out. So think of all that, trying to balance, all of those proprioceptive muscles, feet, legs, spine, having to switch on, try to get up. Like mental, yeah, insane. So she's going to come and hit me now, but her body wasn't ready for that. Her body wasn't fit enough for that, because she wasn't used to training at that sort of uneven terrain, not knowing what's coming, up and jumping. You've got loads of so you're already used to in this position, and then you're having to then get up on something that's really moving about. So think about the balance that you would have to then get your feet up onto that thing that's moving crazy. So that's a bit of an extreme. It's not many clients that come in and say to you, I was out surfing, certainly not in Glasgow. That's not, I think that's my first. Maybe if you were in LA or something, that would be a common injury for your classes. But your clients are coming in and saying to you, I've pulled a disc, yeah? I've got a slip disc, have we heard that? I've got arthritis, and they've got all these things, and your heart might sink, or it might go, okay, just do what you can, right? And that kind of panicked, what do I do with them? Am I allowed to work with them? Does my insurance cover them? What if I make them worse? Right? So it's all of that kind of panic stuff, and you might have went on and done some further training that maybe gives you a wee bit more confidence in what you can do. First things first, joints are made to move. So what I want to do, let's stand up and let's demonstrate this. Take your shoes off, let's have our socks on. I'm a barefoot, the podiatrist that likes bare feet, I'd get hung in that in podiatry world, honestly. So what I want you to do, right, is pair up. I know there's 5 of you, but let's just amuse them. Come with me. Who wants to be? Come on, you're closer. Right, so pair up. And what I want you to do, right, is I want you to just face each other and just have a good look at your partner. Just have a good look at them. Look at their knees. Look at their chest. Just look at how they. number the other 1 and 2. So you decide who's number 1 and decide who's number 2. I'll go 1. Okay? And then number 1's, what you're going to do is you're going to spread your toes and you're just going to stand up nice and tall and you're just going to lift your right leg off the ground. Just your right leg. Leave your left leg where it is. Woo. Okay? We all managing that? I'll let you do it. Okay? Just like, but damn. Right. So lifting your right leg up, so you're balancing on your left. Doesn't really matter, you'll change anyway. So from here, what I want you to do, if you're managing that, close your eyes. Okay? Okay? Now, how does that feel? Look at your partner, look at what they're doing. Now, change legs and try it on the other side. So do it with your eyes open first, then get them to close their eyes. Okay? And watch what your partner does. Now, just remember that in your head and now change over. I'm going to get used to it again. You get a double whammy. So change over and watch your partner do it. So balance on one leg, choose whatever, it doesn't really matter. If you manage that okay, change to closing your eyes, okay? And you'll feel it'll be much harder with your eyes closed. Now, it'll be harder for you. So what's your name? Vicky's standing on her purple mat, okay? Now, as much as you would think, definitely will be harder, right? Because it's softer, you'll be sinking into it, so you'll have to work harder if you own something. Although it doesn't look uneven, that will make it harder, okay? So, but fine if you're coping with that, Vicky. So on you, she's like, yay, I can balance on a mat. We'll get you surfing. We'll get you surfing. So watch what your partner's doing. You see how they're struggling with their eyes closed, right? We get it. So as soon as you start putting that body under a load of any sort, they start to struggle. Now what I want you to do is I want you to, together, I want you to just mobilise through the hips. I know this looks a bit odd, so let's just mobilise through the hips. Get the hips going. It's like some weird getting ready for action type dance. This is what I do on a Saturday night. Ready for your husband. Yeah. Okay. And then what I want you to do is just bend the knees, right? Just bend the knees. And as you bend the knees, I want you to let the knees actually go over the toes, right? I know everything you're training, take your bum back. Don't put all that pressure in your knees. Okay? Ooh. Oh my God, you're going to do the knees in. Okay. Let it go over, let the ankle joint bend. A lot of us get stuck up in the ankle joint. Right, now from there, let's do it together. Balance on one leg. Okay? Then close your eyes. Okay? And then from there, change over. And immediately as you do that, you'll notice little differences. All we've done is we have loosened up some joints. We're going to bring this into the spine in a minute. It's easier to demonstrate in the extremities. And then pop that back down. Okay? Felt a wee bit different, just a wee bit. Just by doing some simple mobilizations. Watch this. Give me your hand. Right, now that I don't know you, so this is not a trick. So push your arm up into my hand and don't let me push you down. And I'm really making you work, aren't I? Yeah, right. I'm really pushing it, right? Don't let me push you down. I can easily overpower it, okay? I'm a witch. Okay, I'll give you. So this is push down, and I can't. I've regained your strength. Okay, it's an atherokinetic reflex. So athero, bone, kinetic movement to the nervous system reflex. When you're working with your clients, right? When you've got closed joints, if somebody tells you they've got arthritis or they've got stenosis, they've got narrowing of joint space, and it doesn't actually matter where it is. Just in the spine, think about what the spine houses, right? It's like your big motherboard, right? Your central nervous system, your peripheral nervous system. Think about it almost like a big electrical wiring system, right? And essentially, if you've got a blockage in that electrical wire somewhere, you're going to get a spark, right? You're going to get a wee, oh, I'm getting nervy pain, right? And you'll freak out, oh my God, nerve pain. Oh, don't touch them, right? Or you're going to get a blockage somewhere, right? So that signal is going to be blocked in some way, whether we call it sciatica, whether we call it nerve impingement, whether we call it a slip disc, there's the output of pain that client feels is as a result of something being blocked. What we demonstrated there was a reflex. I'm really not a witch. My kids beg to differ. But essentially what we're doing is we are mobilizing joints. When joints, and in your spine you have joints, just different types, facets. But when your joints are closed, muscles switch off. That's just how muscles work, right? It's not a trick, it's just what happens. So when you have a reduction in joint space, so all I did is, what's your name? Sciatica, was I reduced the joint space in her thumb and temporarily disarmed her. So I basically it was probably only lasted 10 seconds. Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah. So you quickly can just take somebody's power away just by reducing their joint space. And I literally just brought it could have been an elbow joint. It's just an easy joint to get access to. And basically ramming it together. Yeah. I'm basically I'm basically just, so if you think about this saddle joint, I'm just closing the joint space. I'm basically just pushing it together. And then all I did to regain that power was mobilize the joint. So never underestimate the power in that mobility work that you're giving your clients, right? You're allowing not just them to feel good, they will feel good, right? Because you know they do. You might not fully have thought about the science behind what you're doing, hopefully go a bit deeper with that. But when you do that, you free up that nervous system too. If you actually think about what a chiropractor does, actually what they do is they work with the nervous system. They shouldn't just be cracking bones. People kind of like that because it sounds cool, right? But actually that it doesn't matter whether you get a crack or not. Yeah. So think about that mobility first. And the reason that you felt a little bit easier balancing was simply all you did was you opened up the joint, so it allowed more muscles to fire up. It allowed more of that kind of proprioceptive feedback, so that interface between your foot and your whole body knowing where the ground is beneath it. Okay, so let's take this to the spine. You've got a patient, a client that comes in who's got lower back pain, right? Every second client you see is going to have somebody, they've all got it. And you just your usual is just do what you can. Yeah, just stick with what feels okay for you. And sometimes we get a wee bit frightened of, are they allowed to move? Are they not allowed to move? Can I do this and can't? So yeah, depending on what. Stretch, get it moving. It's going into like a spasm. Yeah. So when you do an injury, right, that kind of fight or flight response comes in, right? So like your body's, it protects itself, so it goes into a spasm. And sometimes that spasm's needed because there is a danger there. So that's kind of beyond your scope. That would be, a physio, something like that would diagnose them. But they're usually coming into your class because they've been cleared to exercise. It's very rare for me to not prescribe movement. Very rare, unless. And did it help? No. So yeah. So well, because you've got the men's head and it tightens up. But if you stretch something off and it's doing a particular job to protect something, you can leave it more vulnerable. So you've got to bear that in mind. And if you're working outside, I would call your scope of practice, don't go there. But if somebody's coming into your class and they've been cleared to do it, if that was me, I'd say, have you seen a physio? Have you seen whoever it is you've seen, and somebody else has said to them, yes, you need to move, then you've ticked your big box, you have done your due diligence, and that client is responsible for making that decision to be in. Now, in terms of what you want to do, is you want to encourage all the planes of motion of the spine. Now, if you've got a particular client with things like osteoporosis, right, which you will have, and let's face it, as soon as we start hitting perimenopause, our spine, our bone density is reducing, right? So you'll have clients in your classes that are kind of over 45, right? We all do. And are we thinking about that? Are we thinking about their bone density? So you're just bearing all that in mind, that, you know, don't overly hammer it. Yeah. So we need to just be mindful of that. But if you've got somebody that's maybe in their 70s and they've been diagnosed, you know, you can see them, they've got that kyphotic type posture. Things where they are going into that full extension with their spine it's a caution. It's not a total contraindication, because every person is different. But if you're like, oh, I'm really unsure, just treat it as a contraindication. They can't do it. But it isn't, nothing is ever black and white, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our spine through some nice movements, and we're going to think about mobility first. If you change anything in your classes when you go back in, whenever you're back teaching, start with mobility first. So if you think about what you do in your Pilates sessions or whatever classes you're doing, and mobilize the joint first, and then go into your strength work. The results that you'll get for your clients are insane. So just remember that closed joints switch off muscles, they weaken muscles. So if you've got clients with arthritis, they are going to be more frail, they're going to be weaker. Okay, it's our job to encourage movement. Movement, most of the time, is always good, right? So if they don't move, they are doing more damage. Every bit of research shows that your joints will deteriorate more if you don't move. So if they're not moving in a particular way, they are not doing themselves any favours. They might think, oh, I'm preserving it, I'm keeping it all right, I've stuck it in the freezer, I'll just no move it. Right? But actually, it's going to deteriorate a lot faster. So let's go on to the spine corrector. So it's quite exciting. Nobody's ever used it. I'm excited by this, right? So what you've got is you've got your arc, and this is essentially for your feet, for your bum, for loads of different things. What I want us to do is let's just sit on it, right? And I want you to just feel your bum against the back of it here. So we're going to start with spine extension. So most of our clients are coming in and they are sitting in this flex spine position, right? Most of us, come on, think about lifestyles, closed hips, here, lower backs. And the reason that backs go isn't because usually that your back is weak, it's usually a weakness somewhere else. There's something going on elsewhere. So I bet with you, your butt doesn't work as well as it needs to. I bet there's pelvic floor stuff going on. I bet the whole kind of area down there is not, Usually the back is it's like the pencil. See, if you put snap, it's usually the thing that snaps in the middle. There's usually something elsewhere going on. Okay, so if your clients just focus on the back and not elsewhere, it's kind of like giving them a painkiller, like it's just always going to be there. They're not actually going to deal with the problem. So mobility. So in this, I want you to just slide yourself forward and just feel your lower back supported. So it's up to you how far back you go, and then just see how far back you can get your head, and then let your arms just fall back over it as well. And then from there, bring your arms forwards, tuck your chin, and just lift yourself back up. So engage your core just a little bit. You can sit right up if you want. Then inhale, exhale, take it all the way down. Let the head relax on, take the arms up and over, circle the arms around. Bring that up, take an inhale breath, exhale, tuck the chin, roll yourself up and feel your lower back sink into that. So really sink your back in. So if you need to slide forwards. If you need to slide back, slide back. So your position will depend on your length of spine. Now, who's struggling to get their head back onto that arc? I know you exist. I know you're in the room. Okay? Feel it? Sore? Doesn't like, oh yeah, because you're, so try this. She's like, oh my God. So if you pop that big one off, so we have to work on her spine. So yeah, so the bigger arc, so try that. Okay, so the bigger arc, try it. So let's experiment. It's good to try. But how does that feel? Totally different. So your neck. So what we would do with that with a client, now we don't have any in here, is I would have like a bolster or a bag or something so that, take that down,
right,
so that we're bringing the floor up to them, right? So we can see there, now who felt kind of fine from back there? No problem. Yeah, really, really sore. Now what we could do here, lift your arms up, right? And take the arms and notice how tight her pectorals will be as well. So what are you doing in life where you're there? What's going on? Because you're a teacher.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I've had a problem with my neck recently, so I've had a few treatments on my neck. I
Is
had
it-
a nasty injury in my shoulder. I broke my arm across the neck.
Ah,
And I think this is the referred.
totally,
It's
yeah.
taken me 2 years
To get that full. So here we go, right? So she's lost that range of motion. What then happens is that she's then rounding through these shoulders here into this position. Now let's stand up, right? Because sure. Yeah, you want to have your lower back as much as you can against it, but not everybody will be able to do that. Yeah, right, not everybody will be able to do it. So you could do this. You could even just buy little arcs. You don't need this whole thing, right? You could literally just, and if I had somebody who had like osteoporosis, really bad arthritis, was really like, some clients, I'm like having to bolster them, and you know, it's like a whole bed situation going on. You could even just roll up a towel. Like if you do your trigger point Pilates, you could literally, instead of having something hard, start them with something soft that they can roll over. But we need to encourage that extension as much as we can. Now, if we stand up, right, so let's understand, and I'll give you one of these, right, so this is technically for this afternoon sessions, but it ties in because if we think about, find my paperwork, or posture, so have a look at these, right, and in terms of posture, right, I want you to just open your mind up a little bit to posture and where you sit. So we've broken our arm, right? So we've got this injury in our arm. And as a result of that, what would happen? Okay, so you would get, if we look at these, I know it's hard to see because the lights are out. So we've got posture quadrant 1. So if we use you as an example, which is from here up, right? And inside posture quadrant 1, we've got things like forward head posture, lateral head flexion, and head rotation. Now, how many times have you seen with your clients where they're like this? Right, are they doing something random? Right, some odd position. Look the next time, and so, notice yourself as well. You'll find yourself sometimes standing like this, looking at stuff. Why are you doing that? You know, is it that you can't see unless you do that? Your vision? Is it that you're tight and you're? Why is that your default? Now, your default would have been, the issue would have been in posture quadrant 2 for this particular one. She's broken her arm, and what happens is that she gets this what's called anterior shoulder rolling. So the pecs will have been like super tight, okay? And then she would have got this kyphotic, I'm not saying you don't have bad kyphotic posture, right? But what happens is we get that rounding. Now, what happens is we're then getting this problem with the neck, but the issue isn't the neck, the issues actually come from here. So we don't actually want to focus massively on the neck in terms of long-term fixing it. We need to focus on the root cause of the problem, which is where the injury was in the first place, and the mobility in the back is a consequence of what you've been doing. But now she's got a secondary issue. The neck's now raging. How many of your patients, like clients, come into you and they're like, I hurt my knee and now my hip's sore, now my back's sore, and you're like, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, like everything's wrong. So where we would go with you is actually building that mobility up, getting those arms moving. And what that then does, because when you're up, if you slouch like this, it's just the laws of physics. Your head's got nowhere else to go but there. And if you're to focus on your clients and just try to bring that back, you're just going to give them a really sore neck, right? You're really going to hurt their neck. So you need to build that mobility in that bit of your back. That's primary where you need to spend time. Open the chest, open that all up. So these sorts of movements, you will probably want to barf, right? So just take it down a little bit, but don't avoid it. Okay, but make sure the neck is supported. So you can take that away, but it's actually a really good way to split your clients' bodies up So if you're coming later on this afternoon, we're going through this in great detail. We'll get like a two-part series where we will break down posture. But what that does is it just gives you a kind of template to work on. Right now, it might not mean an awful lot to you, but come along later on this afternoon and we're literally spending an hour and a half going through it and looking at it and what does that mean and different conditions that people it just sounds like most women really. but yeah, it's like raging all the time, menopausal women. Right, okay, so we've got that extension through the spine. Let's think about lateral flexion, right? So your spine does flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and rotation. So if whatever you're teaching, if I teach you anything, get those movements into your programs, okay? With caution if you've got somebody with issues. Right, so what I want you to do is sit, if I use yours as a wee example, I'll go this way. So you're going to have your leg, if you've heard of mermaids, yeah, that kind of ring a bell. So the top leg here, and then slide yourself into this position, okay? So try yourself in that. Now, use your elbow, use the arc, use whatever you need to use to support you. You okay with that? She's like giving that loudie for that big one. Yeah. So take, as long as you're okay with it. Does that feel already? Pretty tight. Oh, releasing it, decompressing. So see your top leg, straighten your top leg out, right? And what I'd like you to do is experiment with taking your leg back and taking your leg forward. So literally just think of it kicking forwards and backwards. Don't overthink it. Yeah. And I want you to just notice, so a lot of your clients in here will have this tightness here. Okay, so your quadratus lumborum. And if we've got weakness, I'm looking at you, okay, around the hips and the buttock, bloody hell, women, okay, then this area here kicks in. And what happens is it hikes up. Okay, it hikes up and it gets really over tight. To get in there. And then ease in. Yeah. Change sides, ladies, and try the other side and see how that compares. See if you've got a difference one side to the other, right? So exactly the same. Now you've got a couple of options with your legs. You've all kind of chose some funky positions. That's fine. I'm not a position police. I'm like bodies are allowed to move. No, trust. Yeah. Not everybody's toes bend that way. Not everybody. Yeah, you got to just like work with what you got. I got a full hip replacement last year. Professional runner. Anyway, yeah. So this hip was totally buggered it. But oh my God, I mean, you would never know now, but I've rehabbed the life out of it. Oh my God, like an injection of life. It's fabulous. Now, what I want you to notice, think about how you could get your clients into this position. What could you do in your mat classes, or what could you use? Do you have any yoga wheels? Have any towels? Do you have any balls? You get them over, and then think about that connective tissue. So see, I mean, if you're not, I mean, I'm very hands-on. But if you think about the pelvis rib here, and then just where the ribs are, and just feel that, okay? Your client's gonna love you. So, are you okay if we touch you? Can we touch you? Right, okay. So, first things first, always ask permission, right? Always ask permission. Like, come on up and I'll show you a couple of little nice things you can do, especially if you're Pilates teachers. Now, okay, you're not manual therapists, and that's definitely a progression that you could get and do. God, many years ago, I did my sports therapy training, and it was one of the best trainings I ever did, especially as a Pilates teacher going on and doing that. But just because you don't need to be like hold a certain qualification to touch somebody, but just make sure you touch with intention. It's not creepy. Right? You ask permission and you know what you're doing. So I'm not going to show you stuff that's like going to hurt people, but let's show you how to just come on and touch. So you're my body. You ready? She's like, fine. So come on up. What we'll do is can we jump on that one purely for those that are watching on, God knows where they're watching, everywhere. So if we sit, what's your name? Jane, down, and come on round, because you're all going to get a go at Jane. Jane's like, oh no. Right, so we know we've done some extension of the spine. We're now on to lateral flexion, okay? So Jane's getting herself set up. Okay, so and I'm going to move them out the road so nobody stands on them. Now, so we know Jane's, and my back's getting just really sore and really tight and stiff. You might notice she might limp, right? So as a MSK podiatrist, I see a lot of people with issues. I'll not get into the details of all that, but what they do, instead of using their glutes, they use their back, right? And I alluded to that earlier. The back usually isn't the weak link. The back is usually just raging because it's doing all the work, okay? So come on over. So if I was approaching Jane to do this, I probably would think about my position and right, like, so this could be a bit interesting because like it's almost like my crotch is facing your face, right? So I'd probably want to go from behind, right? But I then need to think about who's there, you know, all that. So just be mindful of your positions and don't like sneak up on somebody that they get a fright, right? That you're like, whoa, they're not expecting it. Jane, are you okay if I just assist you in this? So I would always extend to that fascia line. So we want to take that arm all the way up. And I want to find the hip bone, okay? And I would cross my arms over. It's a much nicer ergonomic position than you try to do something like this, right? So I'd find the pelvis and then I would just find the rib. And I just, Jane, big deep breath in. And then as Jane exhales, I just gently help her get that stretched. Do you feel that? It's lovely. I'm literally just pushing apart. I'm literally there.
Instead of that, doing that.
Exactly. Come on over. Let's try. Jane, are you okay there? Are you okay for people to have a wee try? So come on over. Find your hip bone. Okay. So I would have my right hand there and my left hand there. And it's just a gentle, and take a big deep breath in, and then breathe out, and then just allow that release. Feel that? So you're pushing the pelvis down, and you're just gently easing, and you're just gliding that up.
Everybody's bodies are so different, aren't they?
Totally.
Sometimes you're like, where's the...
Do you go down the other side so that we're getting the other side? Right, up, let's try. I don't want you to be scared of touching people, but keep it, no poking fingers, right? Don't be that, doesn't feel nice, right? Unless you're doing trigger point release, but that's a whole other chat. So I would have with this, I would have that hand and find your pelvis, and next hand, find the ribs, and just take a big deep breath in, and breathe out, and just help get that stretch. And she could even be pulling there. Oh, Jane's in heaven here. You doing all right? And relax. And sometimes it's not hard. Right, who's on here next? So Jane can get a wee go as well. Everybody's doing this. You're not getting a choice. There's no democracy. Okay, have a wee go. So this is that lateral flexion of the spine. So you've got that length through the line, the length through the sides of the body. And what is always easier, right, is crossing the arms. Right, now look at Jane's back here. So I'm like the posture Nancy, right? So I want you to get a nicer position for you, right? If you do this to all your clients, you're going to be burst. Okay, so she's facing that way. So try this, Jane. Put that hand there, right? That one. And then put that one just on the rib and try that, and it'll be much nicer. You pull your tummy in there. So that's it. It's up that way. How does that feel?
Stronger, yeah.
Yeah, much better. And you'll get, it's ergonomically better. Like your lifeline, and you don't ever put yourself in a position where you're going round fixing everybody and you're like limping out the class. You're like absolutely burst.
knees and not.
Yeah, you're going with it. It should be, yeah, you should be absolutely elbows and you're leaning. And, yeah, you kill yourself. Right, come on, you, no hiding. Let's try. Right, let's try. Right. So let's have who would like this? You've not had your other. You haven't do one side. You'll be all over the side. You need to do the other side. She said one side done. Right. So how much touch is right? It honestly isn't a lot. So I would always go from behind. Always make sure you've asked, right? She's happy. She knows you're there. No surprises, right? Don't tickle clients. So find the hip bone, okay, and then just find the rib and get your clients, and you feel the lungs, and you're getting them to actually breathe into that top lung. So breathe in, fill. Sometimes even just in your hand there and saying, breathe into my hand. That tactile cueing really just connects with their nervous system. It will help them. So breathe in, feel it, and then exhale, and it's just a glide. Okay. You're just gliding. Like you're not hating on them, and it's nice, it's gentle. Now, don't get me wrong, like watch this. Like so take a big deep breath in, breathe out, feel that. Okay. Totally. Right. Come on, you. There's no hiding. Who's next? Yeah, go for it. Does that help a little bit? So you could easily do that in your classes, that just main things, ask permission. Don't go too hard and heavy-handed. I can assure you, having I just be careful that there's no strange creeps in your sessions. So know your anatomy, find your hip bones, and then just find the hard bit. Remember, women's ribs are a wee bit lower, right? So, but don't be like, oh my God, am I on the right rib? It's just a gentle release. Okay. I actually prefer that. Yeah. But when I have a massage, I prefer it deeper. So I prefer that. So, in terms of COVID and touching, you know your client base. My clients love to be touched. If I was going round a class, my classes tend to be like 5 people in them. They tend to be more semi-privates, and they come for getting touched. That sounds wrong, right? But they like to be touched. That's what they're paying for. They like to feel it, and they get into it much more with a little bit of tactile cueing. What you've done there with me in terms of that helping you get into that position is more practice than I got in my sports therapy doing that, right? It's not like you try to get out of this, oh my God, I'm not allowed to touch somebody. Start, as long as you're not cracking backs and doing stuff that's really, really weird, that you would know, right? Surely you would know. But as long as you're keeping it gentle, you're giving some tactile cueing, you get that breath, all the stuff that you know, and helping that patient, helping that client.
So trying to help someone move their arm over and they can't.
Yeah, so let's move on to rotation. Right, everybody's had a go. Did everybody have a go at that? Did you have a go? I did. You've not done somebody else though. Come on, did you? Well, that's all right. I was like, nobody gets out. Yeah, so I would get down on my knees, but maybe you've got problems with your knees. Maybe that's so. If you're going to be in this position, if that's where you like being, just make sure this is all you're protecting that, and you're not there. You're under. Yeah. And also think about, like, especially you with your neck. Okay. Let it go. Just let your body weight do it. It's just like, it's relaxing, not a thing. It's just chilled. Let's look at rotational work. Many ways we can do this. So if we sit on the end of the spine corrector, right, put your arms like this, right? Arms straight out, put your arms out. Now, obviously with your arm, you might hate that. So if you want to adjust your arms, do it. Yeah, and if you might get pins and needles and stuff. Right, so let's corkscrew, right? Nothing miraculous here, right? So lengthen and engage through the arms, middle finger, Lydia's finger, okay? Okay. And then from there, take an inhale breath, and as you exhale, rotate round, and then bring that back. Inhale, exhale, rotate round. How about, see how these handles on your spine corrector, how about we rotate round and grab hold of one of the handles, okay? And use that to help us. So anchor ourselves, and now take this round more, take this round more, take this round more, take this round more. So in terms of going round, we take ourselves that way, and we almost pull with the arm that we're holding on with and push with the arm that's behind us, okay? Feel that? So you've got something to grip onto. So she's like that, what are you all about? You know, right? And then, yeah, so you want to have this, like, you're kind of pulling on that. Let me put that arm down. Hold on to that and pull, and then you're pushing with that. Okay? And then change sides. So put your right arm down on the little hand holder. I think my feet are manky. No, actually, this floor's quite clean. I was half expecting to be brown mess. That's all right. So if you've got things like bands or things that you can get your clients to hold on to, it can really help as well. Right, let's change this. So relax your arms down. How do your arms feel there? Tired, shoulders, I mean, you've got no weights or anything on there. So bear that all in mind when you're doing that with your clients. Right, let's try this assisted. So if you stay where you are, take your arms out to the side. Now, one of the things that your clients will do, right, when you're doing movements like this, whether you're doing it standing, sitting, whatever your posture that you choose, they will get into a flex spine position. It's just their natural default. So usually what I would do, push into my leg, okay? So I'm keeping them upright. This is easy. I could stay here all day. I am not straining myself. Now just turn round to your right, okay? And I can then assist them, feel that? Totally different situation. Your clients will love you.
Sitting on the mat.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's easier when you're in, so try the other way, I'll balance you out. But having them push back into this, they get that proprioceptive feedback through the spine, lengthening through the spine, and then taking that round. And I usually, look, feel that? I'm pushing her, right? I'm making her up, okay? Did you get my good side? And then bring that back, okay? Do you want to try that? It's a wee bit of a weird one. So let's stand up, okay? So if we get you up like this so you can feel it, the arms. So the way that they're going to rotate, get your body out the road, right? So if they're going to be going round that way, you don't want to be there, right? Because they're going to hit you. You'll know, you'll be like, oh, you feel like a bit like, oh, I meant that. Yeah, go for it. And then rotate that round. And then they're pushing into you and you are, do you feel that? And then I can also, oh, feel it. It's nice. And then bring that back. Okay, do you want the other side? Balance you out. Quite like that one. So just even, you could even just do this sitting on the mat. So you just get your clients to just push into you. And then you're just saying, okay, big deep breath in, exhale, rotate round to the left. And see how you want to lean. So I'm pushing you up, feel that. And then from there, oh, that's just delicious. And then release that off. Well done, nice. Okay. Completely just changes, a simple move you're probably doing, quickly going. Oh, you are lengthening, you're creating that space through the spine, okay? You're opening the spine. Now, what this also gives you, ladies, right, I know that you're all group X instructors. Are any in one-to-one training with your clients? Right, okay, why not? Okay, so just, I want you to just start thinking about, if you're Pilates trained, there is absolutely no reason why you can't be taking a client on like a one-to-one session who want it. Because that sort of hands-on work is worth a lot of money in your skills. It really is, and people really want that. You don't have time for that. You've got 10, 15, 20 in a class. I mean, that's there's no way. But if you're assisting with you and you feel that some clients could actually benefit from maybe a small semi-private class. So how I do that is just to give you some ideas for running your classes, is we charge a class credit price, right? So a big class, there's 10 people in it, costs them 1 credit. If they come into a semi-private, it costs them 2. They do a bunch of credits and they can do with all of them. Okay, so you could do something as simple as that. So if you get bundles of classes that you sell, it could just be you've got smaller class sizes, but there's more assistance, there's more focus work, you maybe theme those classes, spite, whatever it is, but it's just double the price. Simple. Okay, there is a demand for that type of stuff. There really, really is. And I know oh my God, everybody's paying, but honestly, there's so many people that need to move and they want that help to move. Okay.
What would be a good average price for one-to-one?
So if it's 1-to-1, our Pilates teachers charge £55 for a 1-to-1 for 45 minute session. So that's 55 for 45 minutes. I don't know what's the normal. So that's what we would be. For 2 people in a 1-to-1, it would be £85 for 45 minutes. For a group session with 5 people, they're paying anywhere between £25 and £32 each per group session. Okay. Totally, you could mix it up, movement and whatever they need. So then just go in and fix, and work with what you're working with. But give your clients what they want. Don't think, I just have to do good classes. And also, it will inspire you to learn more. Okay, push you. Yeah, so I myself am a registered podiatrist, which is like you're registered with the healthcare professionals. So in my